I just want to spend just a little bit of time talking about Van Jones from this standpoint.
Yeah.
Representation, who represents us to the larger public, who has the ear of different people. Last year, Topeka K. Sam, who you can hear on Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern on Urban View. She has the Topeka K. Sam show. She is an actual activist, a woman who had been to prison, got out, and she is fighting for the rights of particularly women in prison. She was the one that helped to advocate for Alice Johnson, which is why Kim Kardashian heard about her in the first place. So Trump gave her clemency because of Kim Kardashian, but it wouldn't have happened without the work of Topeka K. Sam and so many other women. Women were handcuffed to beds while giving birth in this country. Handcuffed to, like, you're a threat to what? Handcuffed while giving birth. Topeka K. Sam fought to have that removed. And Van Jones was one of those people who had access to the president of the United States. But I don't know if he is an ally. Actually, I do know that he's an ally for himself. And at the end of the day, it is super important that we hold people accountable who are in those rooms supposedly advocating for us. And maybe, let me just be fair, because we got to talk to Van Jones, and I posted a video only because we've been consistently holding people accountable. And I just needed that to be, I'm not Johnny come lately or Karen come lately to this party where we're talking about accountability. When Drew and I talk about accountability, we always talk about accountability. Trust and believe, when we had that conversation last week about following the money, I have been spending the whole entire week not just figuring out, but putting things in place that we're going to follow the money. So if you got money from somebody, we're coming to find out what you're doing with it. Yeah. And if you gave money, we're going to find out exactly who you gave it to and where it's going. So, and this is not my job, but I just feel a responsibility if we're going to sit here and talk about these things, that we go down that path. So I had a conversation with Van Jones after that town hall where I did challenge him on all of these things. I'm going to play a little bit of it for those of you who are new to the show and you're not familiar with what we do here. Let's play that clip, that Van Jones clip, with me asking him questions.
I want on film, and I want on our cameras as well, there's real passion and frustration with Van Jones right now. And nobody will tell me to my face what people are saying. And
you must not have the right friend.
Exactly.
All you need to do is call me. I would have told you what they were saying, exactly. Van Jones. Exactly. I would have told you what I was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Van Jones.
What were you saying?
I was frustrated by not just that moment that we talked about on the town hall with, he's presidential, but the interview you did with Jared Kushner pissed me off on some level. Jared Kushner is not qualified to sit in the seat that he's in, right? And I feel like people who, like you, who work to go to law school to become the person that you are, who had to go travel through all of these different things to sit in a position to be able to make a difference. This guy literally was handed, you're in charge of Israel, prison. I mean, it's like, who are you but a bankrupt business person whose daddy's in jail? Like, that's how I feel about it. And every time someone like you sits with someone like him, you give him validation. Anytime you sit with a Donald Trump, and it's the same problem I had with Steve Harvey going there, and Martin Luther King III going there for that photo op, coming down in front of the gold elevators. Kanye West, I'm still reeling from that, because the validation that you give someone who has a history of redlining, Central Park 5, still hasn't apologized to those 5 beautiful people, and this man spent $85,000 to call for the death penalty before they even had due process as a lawyer. Like, come on. They didn't even go to trial. And then they were convicted with no physical evidence. None of the sperm matched them. No blood evidence. Nothing to convict them, and they were all railroaded, and then they were exonerated. And no apology?
So why were you mad at me?
It was displaced. So maybe some of it was displaced. But
at the time, how did it mean?
But at the time, it's like you represent power, and you represent the ability to speak truth to power, because you're sitting there. You got a seat at the table. You got entree. And I guess in many ways, it's like that moment Kanye during Hurricane Katrina, where he goes on camera and says George Bush doesn't care about black people, and we were all like, we all know that, but Kanye said it on camera. And in many ways, that catapulted him into a position that he wouldn't have had. And even though he got a lot of backlash in the black community, we were like, yeah, George Bush doesn't care about, he flies over, good job, black people are dying, kiss my ass. So I think it was that, the validation that someone in your position gives to somebody like that. And it wasn't like hateful, because I don't know you. But I just feel like, our responsibility as black people, and those of us who have the microphones, those of us who have the ears and the eyes of people, bear different responsibility than anyone else, you know.
And so if you were, somebody from, the community or barbershop, nail salon, community center, like, I mean, how was it landed?
Like, what is he doing? I think I was clear. All right. So
you were real clear.
But when people say, "Why don't you have Candace Owens on? Why don't you have?" Because it doesn't take all day to recognize somebody's agenda. So what are we having a conversation about? Why do we invite people on? Oh, the other side. There's no other side. There's right and wrong, and we're going to lean in and double down on what's right here on the Karen Hunter Show and throughout Urban View. Hopefully, every host does their own thing, but I'm very clear about what the mission is here. And we don't have time to be entertaining people who are in it for themselves. And this goes for a lot of your favorite people who you'll never see on this show, because I just am very clear about what it is we need to do.
Karen, there's also this massive responsibility of people who are Black and seen. You know what I mean? Because so many of us go through life and our jobs and everything invisible. We are almost invisible to let's just face it, the white power structures that are set up in this country. So many of us, our lives, our plight, our joys, our pains, they're all invisible. So there's a responsibility of Black folks who have that privilege of being Black and seen. And for Van Jones to then go and spend that time that he could spend with myriad people, it legitimizes this Black person who's seen and who's recognized as someone who's part of the intelligentsia, right? He's a smart brother. And then he sits down with Kushner. For other white people, they look at that and say, oh, Kushner's now legitimized by somebody Black that they respect. And so now it looks like all the rest of us feel that same legitimacy when we see Jared Kushner. And it's like, hell no, we don't. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Now, that delegitimizes Van Jones to so many of us in the community who had the utmost respect for him when he used to talk that smart shit.
Right. But then they say, oh, he has a show on CNN, so he must be legitimate. Oh, I see him all the time on CNN, so he must be fill in a blank. And that's the other fallacy. When you see people on those television shows, which is why I don't do it, it's theater. It's soundbite television. They're not there to actually move the needle. It's television. It's not activism. And even the activists who have shows, what's their agenda on those shows? Now, they may bring some people through and bring some things to light, but you strip your ability to be a real activist when you also are taking corporate dollars. And I'm speaking to somebody who doesn't necessarily, I'm earning my money through my listeners paying for these ads. It's a different responsibility, and it's on purpose. There've been talks about, do you want, no, I don't, nah, I'm good, because when it's all said and done, we can peace out. No harm, no foul. We can all peace out. There's no contract here that's tying me to this. The only thing that's tying me to this is the people that listen every day. This is the commitment to the people. And we get enamored by watching people on television who look like us. But that's just like the window dressing of changing Aunt Jemima. They've given you something to suck on to make you feel validated. But there's no producers over there making those decisions. How many producers are making those decisions about what is good television for us? And we had Soledad on a couple of Mondays ago. Let me tell you, Black in America, I hated that because of everything it represented about putting us under, like, why isn't there white in America? Because that's the problem. That's the real problem. We're not a problem. We're actually a solution if you get the hell out of our way. 866-801-8255. Yeah, I'm not here for the games today. We're gonna keep having this conversation. I think we have time to maybe take a call or two before we go to break. Let me get Monica in from DC, and there's a couple of people on that have a horse. I love it. Monica in DC, welcome to the Karen Hunter Show.
Thank you, Karen. Listen, Van Jones, okay, I've had all that I can take of him and his non-black self, fake. You know that he was married to Jimmy Carter's brother's daughter before he divorced her. So that just says a lot about him as a human being. He's not black. Everybody doesn't get to be black. It is a distinct honor for somebody to be black. And you can say you're black, but you got to be black.
All right, so Monica, I love you, but let me just say this. I don't think we should be, and there's the joke around the black cards and things. There's many different, black people are not monolithic, and that a black man could be married to a white woman does not delegitimize him in my eyes, you know. Otherwise, we'd have to take Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier. I mean, we'd have to throw a whole lot of Negroes off the ice. It's Quincy Jones. I can't listen to, like, we'd have to just keep going. All right. I'm not willing to do that, because I think actions speak louder than words. We're going to deal with his actions. And I think we also undermine our argument when we start doing that. Like, I've thrown it out there because it does, as a black woman, it's like, what is that about? What is that about? I don't get it. Okay, that's none of my business. You ain't with me, so I don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we should draw those kind of lines. What are you doing for or against black people should be the litmus test. Not who you're married to, not who you're sleeping with, not who, you know, whether you talk a certain way or dress a certain way, whether you're corny or not corny. None of that should matter. And this goes across the board. Like, Jane Elliott's black, the blackest, like, she lives her life validating and fighting for justice for black people. That should be the litmus test. Are you working with us or are you working against us? And are the actions that you're committing out there in public hurting us or helping us? It is black and white for me, literally. Yeah. So I thank you for your call, but I'm not engaging in that because that doesn't get us anywhere. It may feel good to talk about, let's cancel him because he married a white woman, and so therefore I knew it. You know, that's not why he's operating. Because, you know, Drew asked me off mic, do you think he's doing these things on purpose? No, somebody else asked me this today. Do you think that Van Jones even thinks that he's doing something wrong? I think he actually thinks he's helping. I think he's sitting there saying there are 10 items on the table. If I'm not in that room, we're getting 0 items. Maybe I can get 2 items. You know, it's strategy for him. If I can get 2 items, that's better than nothing. And so therefore we win. As opposed to those 10 items, whatever we want, even the 2 is going to be undermined by you working in concert with people who fundamentally don't have our best interests at heart. And I struggle with this myself. Do you show up in back rooms with people to make things happen? But you got to know that person either is for us or against us. There's no milquetoast. Susan Collins that Drew mentioned is like Lucy with the football. You know who she is. So if you keep going for it, then you're stupid. And we need to not be stupid.